Good evening, everybody. As the Russell Brand story continues to be viral in the news today, several headlines, we have got a distinguished panel of guests who are going to be commenting on the latest news stories, taking your questions in the live chat. Ron is facilitating the call-ins through the Discord link, I believe, which is in the description box below this video. And round we go. I'll just fire off some of the headlines that have come in today. Yep. Russell Brand fears U.S. prosecution over SA claims. Russell faces charges in the UK. He's in the US. He's in Florida. Hallow cuts ties with Russell Brand after R charges. Russell Brand, according to the Telegraph, says, my behavior is normal in the diabolical culture. Russell Brand assault trial evidence could come from lengthy Arthur outtakes footage. US Weekly, everything to know about Russell Brand's SA scandal. AOL, Russell Brand denies allegations. WHDH, Russell Brand denies allegations. Fox News, Russell admits sex was the main reason he bothered to become famous following SA charges. And that's just the first page of dozens, folks. So this is still taking the world by storm. Before we start to put these points to the guests, why don't we go round and each guest can introduce themselves? If we go clockwise, it would go next over to Beverly. And huge thank you, everyone, for coming on.
Hi. It's Beverly Rhodes, the resident Jedi for the Sean Atwood channel. And I specialize in energies, toroidal fields, vibrations and frequencies, and remote viewing.
And our next guest is new to the panel. Long time. Oh, somebody's. Sean, are you moving things? What are you doing here? Our next panel member is Lady D, community member and creator. Great to have you here. Please introduce yourself.
Hi there. I'm Lady D. My channel Soul Therapy with Lady D. I'm a psychic intuitive tarot reader, and I've been doing it for about 30 years. I have a channel on YouTube, and I see clients every day, and I'm a big fan of the channel. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. And the man who needs no introduction, Mr. Matthew Steeples from the Steeples Times. How are you, sir?
Good evening, and pleasure to be back with you both. And greetings from a bit of as you can see, the palm tree is blowing away behind me a little bit. It's a little bit windy tonight, but
my heart
here we are
for
in
you.
sunny Saint-Tropez. I'm the founder of the steepletimes.com, which is a publication that writes about all manner of things. And I've been writing about Russell Brand since about 2012. So there we go.
Okay, well, and we also have Louise back. Thank you for joining us again, Louise. How are you doing today? And give yourself a brief introduction.
Oh, yes. I had an intimate relationship with Russell about approximately 20 years ago, on and off for about a year.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming back. And if you guys are watching at home, you can all get involved in the phone-in side of things. If you click the Discord link in the description, come in and join the server and go into the waiting room. If Deanne or KOG, if you can go into the waiting room just to sort of highlight where that is, that would be wonderful. And you can pitch your questions. If you don't have Discord or you fear technology, put 3 capital Qs in the side chat, put your question, and we'll star it and we'll get to it and we'll put it around the panel. Did it, Sean? Right. So where do you want to start, Sean? Where we? In fact, you know what? Well, we hand it over to Beverly Rhodes for the energy assessment of Russell Brand. Is that a good place to start, do you think?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Beverly, take us, and also Beverly, imagine that this is a new audience as well, and kind of give us a little explanation of what we're going through.
Okay, so thank you for asking me to have a look at Russell Brand. So the image that you'll see coming up on your screen shortly is an image which is specifically looking at the Russell Brand energy force, his toroidal field. So that's all the energy that moves around the individual, as well as the aura, so top, bottom, sideways. All of that information is also encapsulated in what appears to be the egg shape. So what I did is I then looked at his energy from 20 years ago, which I found particularly interesting because it was not overly stable. So you can see by the strands coming out the top that there was a lot of thinking, a lot of changing, a lot of, making decisions literally on the fly. But what I found very interesting on this particular area is the red ring towards the bottom. And that is the one that is slipped down from the base. So the bottom chakra point, so that's the energy point that is situated above your thighs, sort of on the base where when you sit your bottom down, it would be along there. So that is slipped down. So that can be an energy point that is causing problems in his own life at that time. But what I find also very, very cute is that those wiggle waggles all the way around his body, normally that energy moves up and it disperses. But in this particular person, the Russell Brand energy person, it didn't, which tells us that he is starting to develop a kind of a narcissistic type of personality, but also that there's a level of arrested development. So he's still very, very young for his age is what that is telling us. And that means that he hasn't really, the energy hasn't grown up yet. And he's looking at things through very immature eyes, if you like. And that was very keen 20 years ago with him. Then you've got the two plasmoids at the back. So those two big white ball areas, which is two particular individuals that will be coming into his field and literally change his life, as well as other decisions that would change his life. On the top area here with the top of his head, where this chakra point here is, so the energy field that you see at the top of your head, there is the energy field that's coming out with there. So he's literally starting to move forward with his life and his journey. So because he's very, very young in his field, he's very young all the way around, a lot of his decisions will be snap decisions, and they might not necessarily be the right ones. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, tying into that then, if you're ever accused of anything as heinous as what's happened here, when you consult a lawyer, the first thing the lawyer will tell you is just to keep your mouth shut.
Okay.
And, he's dropped some things to the press that definitely, I think, could be used against him. For example, he was saying he only joined the industry, so he could get sex and things like that. These are not going to work in his favor when it comes down to being in court and being on trial. So I think John Wedger also touched on that when he was on the other night discussing this case. He says that Russell was opening his mouth too much and setting himself up for those words to be used against him. Now, one of the stories that I'm interested in that's come out today is the assault trial evidence could come from lengthy Arthur outtakes footage.
Right.
And the details here are that in 2023, he was sued by an unnamed extra using the pseudonym Jane Doe, accusing him of exposing himself to cast members before SA-ing her in a bathroom on the set. So Brand and Warner Brothers are both named as defendants in this case.
Wow.
Both parties are denying the allegations, but according to the Times, last week, Brand's lawyer, Mark Cuccaro, said in the New York Supreme Court that his client had reasonable belief criminal prosecution is possible in the US based on allegations tantamount to criminal sexual misconduct occurring in the US, of which he has been falsely accused both by the civil plaintiff and several others through the media. Warner Brothers lawyer Patrick Lamparello said is offering to submit outtakes of Brand in the film as part of evidence. He said the studio has some hours of video outtake footage, 4 or 5 hours, possibly around 8. Filming for Arthur took place in LA, although the city's police department said they had no open investigation to Brand. Lawyers for him saw a delay in the case, suggesting there was an overlap with a current criminal case in the UK. Judge Shlomo Hagler rejected the request. So it looks like his legal problems are multiplying in America simultaneously with what is happening here. And, it looks like if they got these outtakes, it's probably more use of his own words against him. Like Beverly pointed out, he set himself up for failure.
Yes,
The way he's acting, things he said.
Very juvenile. Then this is the issue: is when you see that energy, there's nothing. If I was looking at an adult person who is like already over the age of 30, 35, which is where he should be now, that energy would be nice and smooth. There would be a lot of, areas that you are working through in your life as part of your journey. But that particular field says, juvenile, not listening, a person that just does exactly what he wants to do when he wants to do it. And, who cares about the consequences? And it seems like he's continued with that whole modus operandi throughout his life.
Yeah, and before we go to the next guest, then, I just want to say that whether he's innocent or guilty, I don't know. But I do think the timing of it is because of him being so outspoken, having millions and millions of followers on huge issues such as big pharma, military-industrial complex, pandemic, that kind of a thing. But yeah, so if we're going to go around clockwise, should we bring in Matthew next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Hello. Yes. Good evening. What would you like to ask me about it? What's your question?
Well, what's your thoughts, Matthew, on today's news and the possibility of him copying more cases in America?
Well, I think this man is, he flits from one side of the fence to the other. He's repeated, as I said yesterday on Ron's discussion, this is a man whose history goes back with, the Minogue family, who are people who I know. That was back in 2006. There were things with Vanessa Feltz. There were things with, the man who you can't mention, the most famous of the lot of them, the one who had a cottage in Glencoe, bringing up, and the horrible behavior with Jonathan Ross. There's so many allegations over the years. Before all of these allegations, this is a man who has a lack of a moral compass. That's how I see him. He's a two-faced, loudmouth, attention-seeking. I've never met the man. I know somebody who dated him. And I'm not going to say who she is, but I think you can easily work it out. He takes advantage of people. I can see that's very clear from his history. And I don't like him particularly because he allowed his dog to kill a wallaby. And I got very upset about that back in whatever year it was, 2020. But I've been writing about him since 2012. So, I've never liked the man. I've always thought him a bit of a slime ball. And I thought it was rather appropriate that in 2010, he played Dr. Nefario in Despicable Me. I think that about sums the man up, doesn't it, really? Despicable Me.
But Matthew, you may be correct about all that with your litany of foul deeds, but does that mean he has committed these four crimes that he's alleged?
No, but I said this last night. I said this man is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. No, he is totally innocent of these crimes until he is proven guilty. I don't know whether he's guilty or not. No idea. I don't know whether he did any of the things against the other people, but I can tell you that Dannii Minogue claims she felt sexually harassed by him.
And this is the thing. He hasn't made it easy for himself for people not to speculate and for people not to drag up accusations from the past and all of this. And
if you'd like me to give Dannii Minogue said he is a bit of a vile predator. I certainly don't think he's cured his SA, as I believe that's what we've got to say on here, addiction. He wouldn't take no for an answer throughout the whole interview. He kept making shocking remarks I can't even repeat. Well, if you go around behaving like that and upsetting people during interviews, the lovely Lorraine Kelly, who I adore and, great, lovely lady I know, she said, he touched her thigh and he called her the SL something T word, which wasn't very nice. Vanessa Feltz, she said, he could have it off with her and her daughters. It's deeply offensive. He is a deeply offensive man. So if he's got that way of thinking, that is a guide to the way he behaves as well. And there are so many allegations, and beyond that, he dated Jerry Halliwell, 2012, Jemima Goldsmith, 2013, relationship with this Laura Gallagher. You know, she started that when she was 19. He is he's quite predictable in going around and changing around. And then there were the battery charges in LA in 2010, the attacking a paparazzo in 2012. You know, all the stuff about drug use. He isn't exactly likable. I'll leave it at that.
Your face is changing around in that with that dark shadow on it. Matthew. Are you in Dracula's castle?
I am probably there. Yes. No, I'm sitting in sunny Saint-Tropez, but it's not quite so sunny at the moment. We've got a bit of It's not as nice as it was yesterday. We had a heat wave yesterday, but I'm nearly up with my 90 days, and I'll have to come back to England soon. So.
Oh, beautiful. So should we bring Paula in next then? If we're going
yeah, absolutely. Hang on a second. Okay, hang on a second. We're doing this wrong here. Paula, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I've been watching it. I actually saw Matthew Steeples and you yesterday. You know, it is. I have a few problems here because, first of all, it's such a long time ago. It is unfair on the person being accused. I got to tell you, I don't remember what I was doing 26 years ago. I got to be honest. I mean, I think that beepers weren't even beepers weren't invented or something like that. I mean, I kid you not. Wasn't that, if you look at what 26 years ago was happening, I don't think cell phones existed. I mean, nothing like that. So we've gone a long ways. I don't know where I was 26 years ago. And the memories, and there's a reason for statute of limitation, because to make it fair on the victim and also on the person accused. Because how does he come back from this? And I'm going to say that that's just one of the things that bother me. Number two is that, okay, I'm 56. Why am I adding myself years? I'm 56 years old. So I am from an age where, for example, what I consider or what was normal back then would be hugely, deeply offensive nowadays. You know, so I, even in my channel, sometimes I'm worried about what I say because I'm from that era. You know, and now people are like, oh, you don't say that anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. It's you know, you lick your lips, and let's face it, back then,
so
certain type of behavior, male behavior was more normal, and you know, it was kind of like expected kind of thing, you know, like for example, if we can go even further back, Marilyn Monroe and those actresses and the casting couch, you know, there's a lot of things that have changed that are no longer acceptable today than before. That's just one of the takes I have. The third one is that you have likable monsters, and you have this likable people that are, you know, where they're appalling character behavior and with zero moral compass and zero moral, I said the word correctly, Ron, and zero filter when they speak, that they come across as offensive. And yet people want to accuse them of crimes because they're just so dislikable. And you know, like people have like Jimmy, you know, that guy Jimmy, he was so lovely, he was in the news, and people were shocked when they find out about it because he was this, you know, kind of hero. Or the actors. This is why a lot of people have a lot of hard time differentiating an actor that they really like because they play this character that they really love, and then separating it from the monster that this person can be. I'm just saying, you know, I'm not saying that he's not guilty or that he's guilty. All I'm saying is 26 years ago, I don't know. And as I said, his lack of the fact that people hate his personality, or he is a disgusting. When he married Katy Perry, I said to myself, this girl must have really low self-esteem to be hanging out with that guy, because I would not touch that guy. Like, and I did a video about it. I said I would not touch that guy with like a 10-foot pole, you know, like, because he looks filthy. He looks like unhygienic, you know, like it's
I'm with you. So are you saying that there's a possibility that if we look at the possibility that some of these crimes weren't reported until now. Are you saying, Paula, that there's a possibility that because of the extreme differences in culture back then, people could be traumatized by what they remember and are misremembering as culture back then as something that is completely inappropriate now? Is that what you're trying to say? Or
I'm not. Well, SA is A no matter what.
100%.
But for example, in Italy, 5 years ago when I went to Italy, men